This is your host, Laura Winters, the heart-led pathfinder, intuitive energy healer, speech-language pathologist, and owner of Your Light Holistic Therapy and Wellness, LLC. Welcome to Miracle in Time, a mini-series podcast that brings you the stories of beautiful humans exploring the synchronicities, blessings, and miracles within our perception of time. It illustrates that events are not just happening to us, but for us. Life isn't always rainbows and butterflies, but it is a miracle in time. As a disclaimer, this podcast contains general information about various topics and medical conditions and is for educational purposes and inspiration only. Your Light Holistic Therapy and Wellness LLC is not responsible or liable for the accuracy of information contained in this podcast. The information contained in this episode is the personal views of the host and guests respectively. This podcast is not meant to replace the advice of your healthcare provider and is not intended to prescribe, prevent, treat, or diagnose disease. You assume all risks when you continue this episode. Amanda V. has been a dry eye patient since August 18th, 2021, after an adverse reaction to dilation and numbing drops. Since then, she has tried traditional pharmaceuticals as well as biological treatments for her dry eye condition. She has been diagnosed with meibomian gland dysfunction and Aquious deficiency. She is passionate about finding root causes to inflammation. She is married with 2 children, and she is committed to feeling well, not only for herself, but her family. I hope you enjoy this miracle in time. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Laura. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. So ready to hopefully give helpful advice to other dry eye sufferers.
Yeah. And the reason that I had you come back and do another episode is because you had this plethora of information and, you have been through the gamut in terms of diagnosis and all these treatment modalities. And so I wanted to bring you here because I want to bring that back for some people because, when things first start happening and you try some things on your own, some of it works, some of it doesn't. And I feel like you have tried it all.
Yeah. Some things I'm embarrassed of the routes I went through because you get so desperate, like you just grab on to anything and everything, anyone and everyone. So now I have a fresh perspective. I was trying to remember how many years later it's been since I did the Thriving Dry Eye podcast, and it was 2 years.
Yes.
So a lot can happen in 2 years. I've discovered a lot in 2 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So can you tell everybody a little bit about you?
Sure. So let's see. Currently, I'm a mom of 2 kids, a boy and a girl. They're 5 years apart, so finding things that they like to do together is kind of challenging. But I mentioned that first because that was the first thing I worried about when my dry eye happened, was how am I going to be able to take care of them? And then also my wonderful husband, what kind of burden would that be on him? And what is he going to have to, take over as a result of me having my dry eye diagnosis? So my background is in, I got a bachelor's degree in fine arts. Photography is the focus at the University of Cincinnati in Ohio. Let's see. before then, I've had all kinds of different jobs, everything from daycare, babysitting, corporate, social service agency, working at a lockdown treatment facility for adjudicated minors, waiting to see the judge, typing up psychological reports, and let's see, and working at a radioactive facility.
Wow, that's so cool. Being able to do so many things, you really find out who you are and what you like and what you don't like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, tell us what happened that led to the dry eye disease.
So it was a very specific point in time, August 18th, 2021. I went in, that was during COVID, but things were starting to loosen up because I think that April is when I was able to get my shot of 2021 because I was asthmatic and I was one of the first. And knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have got it. But anyways, that's beside the point. And but that's what happened, and I think it's pertinent to note that. So I did get both of my shots. I did went to my eye doctor. I was trying to get all my health appointments done. I didn't want to let COVID, now that I was vaccinated, impede on all my appointments. I wanted to be very thorough, so I had an eye appointment. I thought I'm just going to update my glasses and contacts. And then I always debate, am I going to let them dilate my eyes or not? And I asked her, I was like, how long has it been? She's like, 10 years. And I thought, well, I am having sort of like flashes of light, but if I was looking back, those flashes are light because I was extremely stressed out.
Oh,
And I'm not so certain that it wasn't a myriad of issues that I was having after the shot. So I let her do it. And 10 years prior, I had no problems with dilation or numbing drops. I honestly couldn't remember that I had numbing drops, but whatever. But she put it in my right eye, and then she's like, "Oh, it's not opening. Your pupil's not opening up. It's not dilating enough. Let me give you another drop." And it was in my right eye, and my right eye is worse now. But I didn't know that then. But to be honest, before I even went into the appointment, I thought of switching eye doctors. I was like, she kind of, you know, kind of snaps at me sometimes. One time I said I didn't get into my checkup, as I let it go too long because of some grief I was going through, and then she's just totally snapped and went, "Oh, like your eyes aren't the most important thing in the world." Like, I swear it was like that. And so after that, I should have known never to go back, but she had so many titles behind her name, more than anyone in the office. So I'm like, well, I want to be with the best. So I'll put up with her snippy attitude. But she was kind of intimidating, and after like so many years of seeing her, she's finally like, I don't know, showing her real self. And she'd always be like, "You're not scrubbing your lids enough. You need to be really scrubbing in the shower with baby shampoo." And I'm thinking to myself, wouldn't even put that on my head.
right.
Like any Johnson's and Johnson's product. I'm like thinking to myself, didn't they ban diaper powder because it was causing lung cancer? And you trust. And in my head, also, I'm thinking, no more tears. Like, whatever tears I do have, it's going to take all the rest of the tears. Anyways, sorry, I couldn't help but totally trash like a whole company. But, anyways, so when I was leaving the appointment, making sure I got like the glasses over my glasses right, I was thinking, okay, how long is this disorientation, not feeling like you can read? The light's looking weird. How long is that going to last? The light sensitivity and everything. Oh, well, it could be anywhere from 4 hours or more. People with light colored eyes can be longer than, let's say, if your brown eyes, it would probably wear off quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I got this sinking feeling. I'm like, well, what if it doesn't wear off? And that's not like me to ask something like that. I'm like, and she's like, well, then you would go and ask your regular doctor. And then I went out and I'm like, well, I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to stress myself out over something that hasn't even happened yet. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, but I don't like her answer either. What's my regular doctor gonna do? That's really dumb. So,
I think
um,
that's a really good point right there, is that I think that when something is going to happen, we get those feelings ahead of time and we always poo-poo them. We're always like, no, that could never happen, or why in the heck did I just think that? And then looking back, you're like, "Oh my gosh, like I knew before I knew," right?
yeah, and I get chills when you say that. I'm a very sensitive, intuitive person. I've canceled trips before because I've had a really bad feeling. Sometimes it just might be common sense. Like some friends want to go skiing in like Colorado, and they want to take my Chevrolet Cavalier at the time, and they're not listening to me. And I'm like, no, we need to rent like a Jeep. I had a horrible nightmare. I woke up in a cold sweat and I was like, I can't go. And I rebooked a trip to California. And this was like during time of like 9/11, so it wasn't no big thing. It was a big thing to fly in a plane, but I felt more safe flying in that plane than I did going on the trip with them just from my intuition. I
Wow.
had that same intuition with this doctor beforehand. Don't go with her. I
Mm-hmm.
will say that she saved me a lot of pain, literal pain, by talking me out of what's the LASIK surgery.
Okay, yes.
Now I know there's LASIK versus Smile. I'm like, I don't care. Anybody's cutting on your eye, it's not a good idea. My mom was back in the day was like, you have to let something be out there for many years before you see the side effects from it. Well, sometimes the side effects are buried and hidden, and they already have been out.
Yeah.
And so, ask people in the corneal neuralgia group on Facebook, ask people in the dry eye disease sport community. My family member had it done and he's fine, but that's not to say a lot of other people aren't. So, anyways, I'm getting too off track here. So, I didn't want to go back to her, obviously, but when I was at home, I was going to my Facebook private friends, like, has this happened to anybody where the sensitivity lasted? Um, and they're like, just drink a lot of water. And, if I would have thought about it, if I would have had some sort of saline rinse,
Yeah.
I think I might maybe not be going through this right
That's
now.
funny that you said that, because right when you said drink lots of water, that was the first thing that popped in my head, was to say it was rinsing. Just try to rinse the stuff out. But, at that point, how I mean, it may have already been through your system, you
Yeah,
know?
and somebody through that group said they say if I go to an appointment, I just take a rinse aid with me. And if you want to know what a rinse aid is, I'm a very show and tell kind of person. Um, I didn't know about this then, but there's stuff called Lackey Pure.
Mm-hmm.
It's individual because that means like if you have a big bottle, a lot of air is going to get into a big bottle. So there's no preservative, and then you have to go like this and then pop the top off and then rinse your eye. Now, somebody would be like, oh, you could just get a big bottle of like, what is it, Bausch and Lomb.
Mm-hmm. Like a
Uh,
contact solution.
it looks like a contact solution, but they say it's a rinse aid, and there's even a cup for your eye.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that has a bad preservative in it.
Oh,
So
man.
has benzyl chromium chloride, and that later on you'll find is not a good thing, um, which I'll definitely get into. So I went to another eye doctor within that practice, and she was like, "We give dilation drops to kids. It's super safe. I don't know what happened. I'm not discounting what you're going through. Let's make sure at least your eyes have not, like, the black part isn't." Of course, she used technical, like, your pupils aren't so dilated that they went back down. She's like, "Okay, yeah, I'm seeing they went back down," and I'm thinking to myself, I didn't need her to tell me that with a slit lamp. I could see that in the mirror,
Right.
I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool," because I just needed some good news. And then, and looking back, I was like, they feel a little dry, but they weren't, it wasn't really, it took some days to really bother me, which is really weird. It's like in the beginning, the treatments hurt me more than the progression of the dry eye did. So I didn't really get much help other than everything looked fine, but didn't feel fine. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask a neighbor, where do you go? Because she usually makes great decisions with people. I noticed with doctors who she gets her house worked on, other things like that. And she did. She didn't steer me wrong. She steered me to this great doctor who actually knew the doctor that I think did this to me. Whether it was on purpose, you know what? I'm 100% not sure. I'd say I'm 98.5%. I don't even know how I can tell you that. But anyways,
You know what's really interesting is I haven't finished the book. I always like read halfway through a book and then I move on. But like it's called Healing Words: The Power of Prayer and the Practice of Medicine. And one of the things that they talk about is that the intention of the provider and their belief system plays a huge part into your benefits from a treatment. So let's say you go in and you say like, hey, I want to try X, Y, and Z. If they believe 100% it's not going to work, you may not have that good of results from it because of their belief system backing it. So if you go in and you're with a provider and they're like, I really think that this is going to do something for you, the possibility of it actually being really beneficial is higher because of their belief system. So it's really interesting that you say that. It may not have been, I'm surely it wasn't a conscious thing, but it sounds like that arrogance, that ego in there can definitely like hide something, right? That there's something subconscious, especially
yeah,
through her words with you before and her actions, and you felt it. Like, even if it wasn't like a stinging kind of like word that she was saying, like you felt it and that intention behind it. So it's really interesting, you know? And I'm sure some
that's
people would be like, well, that's totally not even possible, but you don't know what's happening in someone's mind subconsciously.
No, I'm smiling because you hit the nail on the head. Like, at least she cared enough about me to steer me away from LASIK. And the reasons why she gave me is she said, "You are so particular about your vision. You are so sensitive of how you want to be dialed in." She said, "If you get the surgery, you might lose some up close vision, like when people notice it when they sew, or you might lose some night vision," which, I mean, this didn't affect my night vision. I have, amazing night vision. Um, so yeah, that's interesting you say that, and I would even go further to say that it's important to me if my provider believes in God or higher power, Jesus. Um, that's not like an atheist, because if they're just relying on their ego, their power, all the resources that only they have, that's just not okay for me.
And
Um,
it's extremely limiting as well, you know. I mean,
yeah.
we as humans, we only have, we can tap into a lot of stuff, but yeah, I think that especially our ego is something that can bring us down quite a bit. So, yeah, I
And so you
agree.
just have to, if you don't know, hey, what's what's your faith? That might be a little weird, but you can kind of tell, are they a nice person? How do other people talk to them? How do they get along? I mean, this particular provider would take long time, and then when the person came out of her office, it was usually like a 60-year-old male who looks like they're in between golf games and they're flirting up a storm and she's just eating it all up. And I'm just like, okay. There were other things that kind of clued me into, like her flirting with the contact lens guy, contact lens guy being grumpy if he couldn't get my fit right. And then, and, and then her knowing all the things that she knew with all the credentials behind her name, she knew to really press home. No, you don't understand. You don't want to wear contacts all the time. It can ruin how your eye closes. So it doesn't close all the way. Like, really, like explaining how this can ruin like the microbiome of your eye, or some people's corneas are more fragile than others. Anyways, so I don't want to spend too much time on that. Um, and then when I looked, I can go on online on my chart and look at and I did yesterday. I looked and I was like, okay, what were my steps after that? And it was I went back to her on the 23rd. I went in her office. I made myself sit in that chair because I was like, I am not going to be afraid of this place and her. And I said, have you ever had a patient have this happen to? And I was crying. And she's like, well, it could be you. It could be that you have like Sjogren's syndrome, or, you probably really need to see a rheumatoid arthritis, or like check for that kind of thing. And I was just like, in my heart, I was like, no, 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 no. I came into this office and I came out not the same. Driving around at night at starburst. Well, that's probably from your astigmatism. I'm like, well, then why are they bright? Why do I need sunglasses? Oh, why do I get upset when I look at the moon and it looks like one of those new nerd candies where it looks like like a medieval ball and chain. I don't know how to explain it, or like a star on a Christmas tree. Everybody, like, I couldn't go on a walk without streetlights and everybody's house lights being a starburst. Um, for 2 weeks, I had to wear sunglasses in my house. I told nobody, open the blinds. I would freak out if my son rushed past me and the wind blew in my face. Doing laundry, like little things like having laundry, um, dust particles and fabric particles when you're doing laundry. Um, so I went to the dry eye disease support community, and they were like, you really need to go to a dry eye specialist. And I was thinking to myself, well, the doctor my neighbor recommended was like, if these steroid drops that I'm giving you aren't helping, and this it was this drop that doesn't really work for me, but a lot of people like it. I can't remember the name of it, but it's kind of the equivalent of using Refresh with omega-3 oil in it. It had
Okay.
more of an oily drop,
Yeah.
but it had like an ingredient in it that is a lot like the benzoyl chromium chloride. It's in the same family. Um, so my eyes were getting redder and redder, and my sister's a nurse, and I was like, why are they getting redder and redder? She's like, yeah, that shouldn't happen with steroids. And she's like, I don't know what to tell you. And so then in the meantime, I was like, well, time to go to the corneal specialist. And then he had dry eye himself. So I felt, and he had an amazing bedside manner. He did a corneal map, which I don't know what that helped him with. And then he was like, let me try to squeeze your meibomian glands. And I was like, doing it with a Q-tip, it it's really fuzzy on my eye and it kind of bothers me afterwards. But after the appointment, I'd be like, oh, after it calmed down, I was like, I see that how that helped a little bit.
Mhm.
And so he was like, well, you just come back and we'll keep checking your eyes and just use a lot of these other over the counter things. Like I really love this drop, that drop, basically anything you can get your hands on at CVS that's preservative free. I will say
Mhm.
that. So he knew about that, but it made my eye feel gunky and gooey. And then I would email him and I'm like, this doesn't feel very good. This doesn't even last very long. I'm like asking another family member, like, uh, you know, because she's a Christian, and was like, tell your church to pray for me because I don't know what's going on. And she's like, oh, I use Sustain. And I'm like, well, that actually makes me not happy. Like, Refresh is
Mhm.
okay, but Sustain makes my eyes blurry for like 30 minutes. Long story short, I finally get to a doctor that's the top doctor at in Kaiser. And he's amazing. And if I needed eye surgery, I'd probably go to him. But after a while, I wasn't getting my needs met there. But at least I knew what wasn't working, and and then he says, "Well, maybe we can try serum tears." I'm like, "Ooh, what's that?" And he's like, "That's where we draw blood and we use your own blood for eye drops." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds real natural. That sounds like right up my alley. Like, sign me up. Why'd you hold out on me so long?" And I forget who they use, but they use a company where you get your labs drawn at Kaiser. I started out with 20% autologous, meaning autologous, you're yourself the donor, serum tears, and they ship it off to the company. I think it's called Vital Tears. And then they put it on dry ice and send it back to you within a few days. I remember getting it on a Friday and being like, this is the best weekend I'm going to have in a long time. And I was on the phone with customer service asking a bunch of worried questions, and they were great. And she's like, and when it comes, it'll feel like liquid gold. And she was right. It felt instant relief.
Ah.
Now, as far as do I feel like I was cured? Absolutely not. But did I have to put this in my eyes every hour? Then I graduated up to 3 hours. Then I could go as long as 5 hours and not have it. And then when I finally did get to the dry eye specialist, she's like, well, I use platelet rich plasma. And I was like, oh, I read about that. Has more, healing growth factor in it. And so I was like, I'm like, sign me up. But it was really strange. There was this woman in front of me who was checking out. She had this like super amazing insurance that just basically paid for a consult and everything, and probably even paid for PRP, which is like unheard of. And she's like, are you a dry eye patient too? They try to sell me on the PRP, but I just think that just sounds like so weird. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I could get really pissed at her right now because obviously my dry eye is worse than hers, and I'm willing to try anything. But I just smiled and nodded, and I was like, I can't believe this. Like, you don't have to pay, like at the time it was $595. You got your $700 consult fee, and you're in line with a bunch of over the counter drops complaining about something that is more natural for you. I was just like, And thanks to the dry eye disease support group, because I started being exposed to terms, looking them up, doing a deep dive, and then going to a doctor where it's like, let me see out of my toolkit what I can help you with. And her having this sheet of like front and back of
Wow.
tools, a lot of them natural, of what we can start with. It's just a lot of the things that she starts off with is like LipiFlow, Ilux, intense pulse light, she even does meibomian gland probing. So like there's some heavy hitters and there's like some one thing that she doesn't have that I asked her to have is to have MeiboFlow, but she likes this other thing that has sticky things to the eyelid, and then it warms it up. I wish I could remember the name of it, but I just didn't want sticky glue on my eyelids. I looked up a video for MeiboFlow. I was like, okay, I like this doctor because she has all these things. So I tried. I thought, okay, let me back up
Now,
a bit.
Amanda, so what did you end up finding was, or what you feel was the cause of the dry eye disease?
Yeah, so thank you for backing me up because so that dry eye specialist was like, heard my story. She goes, I know exactly what happened to you. The ingredients and those drops tipped your meibomian glands over the edge. And those are the little glands that sit where people usually put black eyeliner, which is no one should do that. Like, and if you insist on doing it, you should use Eyes Are the Story eye products. But anyway, so those glands get clogged, and you can look it up online, meibomian gland dysfunction. I think there's some videos of clogged glands and providers squeezing the glands, and you can see like toothpaste or a waxy yellow or clear. They say Wesson oil. Let's just go with olive oil because that's better. But like, there's different level, like thicknesses of oil for people that have MGD. I think they got the name meibomian from some guy that discovered it. But there's three different layers to the tear film, and honestly, to do all these other tests she wanted to do would have required numbing drops, and since that was one of the she believed one of the causes, um, because she did have a preservative-free kind, but she was like, let's just not put your eyes to. We did a meibography. She squeezed the glands. That was enough for her to know what was going on with the glands. As far we tried that where you stick the paper in the shimmer
Yeah.
the tea, but without the numbing drops, it's not going to give a real true because you're sticking something in the corner of your eyes and it's going to tear anyways. But that was at least in like the 18 range. That's probably better than absolutely nothing happening.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see, I think 20 and above is what it should be. So basically, she recommended um, IPL, and I did the intense pulse light. I went in, and she was kind of like running around like a chicken with her head cut off. I hate to say that. She was really busy. At that time, they didn't have certain things done on certain days, so it made for a long wait. Um, so I do go to this doctor still for platelet-rich plasma, but I tried the IPL. I would say it worked because afterwards a lot of the gunk, the bad oils came out, but she didn't really have enough time to spend with me to say, oh, that's that's going to be there. I had to have another doctor call her at home because I was so freaked out because my light sensitivity was back. I was getting
Mm.
fuzzy vision, and it was from all the goop in my eye. And she was right. After 2 days, it dissipated. My eyes, and when I put compresses on my eyes, I felt more good oils coming out. But then I was like, so how long for the pain on the face to go away? And she's like, you shouldn't have any pain on your face. And if so, it's just because it's sore from like that rubber band flicking with the machine. And I'm like, well, for me, I think I called her like a month or two later. I'm like, it still hasn't gone away.
Mm.
So I asked and this is like pain that you can't just think away. Like, I'm going to go busy myself. So my cousin, I was like, she's in holistic stuff. I was like, what do you suggest? She's like, I suggest you need a positive experience with a doctor. Find a doctor who does acupuncture. Acupuncture is scientifically proven to help with pain, especially nerve pain. So I did that and it helps. And not only that, but the acupuncture helped my dry eye.
Oh, cool.
Uh, and I went into this doctor. I was like, I don't know if you can help with this, but I'm willing to try. He's like, I'm willing to help. And he also had a background in psychology. So it was like a nice little therapy session beforehand, like what's going on, you know? And then they do these things, which sounds woo woo. They check your pulse, and he can tell if it's wiry, thin, or thick, or he can tell. He's like, you know, like random stuff, like you don't usually have acid reflux. Are you having a lot of digestive issues? So he was a great resource of just tapping into my body. What's going on? What do I need? Um, I don't want to get too far off track. So,
But that
um,
did help, you said.
yeah, it did help. And then I was like, okay, I need an eye doctor that has MiboFlow, because if I don't want to go to probing, I need something gentle. So I found a doctor in near my house, closer than the other doctor, who heats up the gland. It looks like a spoon, just rubs it like this, um, and then she expresses it. That was every 6 to 8 weeks, and I found her just by go googling and going on social media, see who had a nice social media, who had a great following, like what their content was like. I was like, if they have a nice website and nice social media. She had the keyword sclera lenses, and that she likes to fit for that. I didn't see MiboFlow on their website, but I thought, well, if she knows about sclera lenses and loves to fit them, then I know she knows what she's talking about. So
Mm-hmm.
so they're like, oh yeah, we do MiboFlow. It's called Mibo Thermoflow. And if you go to mybomedicalgroup.com, they have a list of doctors near you that do it. Although when I found the directory, she wasn't on there. So you might have to trust your own searches. Don't
Mm-hmm.
just go based upon what another set of searches is going to give you.
And
Because I'm really happy I found her. Right now, we're just kind of in a maintenance phase, like every 6 to 8 weeks, getting my glands expressed. Sometimes I go in, it looks worse. Sometimes I go in and she's like, gosh, all your glands are producing oil. I'm like, that's crazy considering a lot of them were tooth-based.
yeah.
And she does it gently. The other doctor really pressed on it hard. I think that's what caused a lot of, and I told her this, I think the IPL and combo with the squeezing really hard really caused a lot of pain around my eyes.
Yeah, and you're very aware now through this experience, and maybe you knew before how sensitive you are. So when you're sensitive, you can't go full on like into it because your body can't handle it. But there are some other people who like very much like I think about this is different, but like me, I can't do deep massage stuff. Like it hurts. It hurts very much. But my husband is very much, you need to get in there and really get in there. But like I say my skin is sensitive, but it's like by touch, it's very sensitive. So I know what I can and can't tolerate to some extent. And I think what you're explaining with the IPL versus the MiboFlow is like, this might be more, and it's called intense pulse light, versus the MiboFlow where it's, not as
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah, you can even see the bright light with I used goggles because we didn't think that I could handle she did have them though, but I couldn't handle where they do the numbing drops and then they put the shields over your eye. So I just used these like metal goggles that like I call tanning bed goggles is what they look like with the
Mm-hmm.
strap.
Mm-hmm.
I guess part of my issue too, when doctors are really sought after and they're really specialized in their field, they don't really have a lot of time to spend with you. Um, and that emotional piece is so key. And this other doctor with the MiboFlow, she has like 9 minutes on each side. So, how are the kids? How are your kids? That's great. And I'm sure that helps a lot too.
Yes.
Um,
That's
she doesn't have dry eye herself, but she has a lot of dry eye patients and she's not bothered by us. And it's so interesting. I think other providers seem a little bothered by us because they don't know what to do with us.
mm-hmm.
We're kind of scary. We're not curable. I'm looking around at all this show and tell stuff I have. But
Yeah, maybe let's go through a couple of the things that are really helpful for you
yeah,
now that you're
so
kind of on the other side, I guess.
I just have to take the sticker because it has all my personal information on it. But this is what platelet-rich plasma looks like. Now, um, there's like platelet-rich growth factor. I don't know. I need to look into it. There's another dry eye doctor that he's like, mine looks richer than this. If it looks like this, it's not good enough. I don't know. I'd have to drive 7 hours where I live to like test that out. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not willing to do that yet, but when
Yeah.
I am, maybe I can update you. But yeah, I want to. This particular provider only draws your blood on Tuesdays, and then you have to come back and pick it up in 45 minutes to half an hour. It's $600. My insurance doesn't cover it. It's
And
not cheap,
how
but
long does that last then?
this could last about, depending on how much I use it, anywhere from 5 to 7 days. One vial is supposed to last a week, and I get a big bunch. I have it in the freezer. I'm not too far away from it, but I get a good pack. Um,
And you do that
and
every 3 months or?
every 3 months, this is when my platelet rich, so she does platelet rich plasma and then PPP. And so
Mm-hmm.
about 3 months after the first time I open this one, I'm done with the whole pack and I need to go get my blood drawn again. Getting my blood drawn with this dry eye specialist is a dream because they take 8 tubes of blood. I'm usually really squeamish, and the lady does it so quickly. I don't even have to lay down. And they never have problems finding the vein, but they did last week. But I almost blame myself because I was like, what if, what if this doesn't work? What if my vein gets too tired? I think I jinxed myself. No, not that I believe in that, but I think I put myself in a state of stress that's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, don't do that again. But yeah, this makes me feel normal. Some days I need to take it every 2 hours on a bad day. On an average day, it's every 3 to 4 hours. Um, and then you keep it in the refrigerator. If I have to go places, I keep it in my kids' like I just grab one of their little thermoses, put it on ice. I've taken this, on trips, to concerts, to the beach, and for me to go to all those places is because of the serum tears and this, and my belief in God and praying for healing. Um, and it's yeah. All the other things I'm going to show you, it just doesn't matter. Your blood is super healing, and the more you're in touch with like a functional medicine doctor to get your body in top shape, the better your blood's going to be. Um, if you're going to pay attention to your diet, the better your blood's going to be.
Yeah.
If you can, there's people that have cured their lupus just based on diet. There's only one person that this doctor said that this didn't work for, and it was because he was allergic to the non-preserved saline that they used with it. So I don't know what
Wow.
they did for him, but that was very rare.
Yeah. Well, and
Um,
that's why when I couldn't get any doctor to like believe me, or well, they just said I wasn't that bad, right? Like I wasn't bad for the autologous serum drops, but that was like the thing that made sense. So that's why I was doing the autologous blood, where I just put the blood in my eyes. And some people say that doesn't do anything. Well, it did something. Even if there was just an energetic shift that like, hey, I can do something to help myself, then it made a huge difference. And yeah, I truly believe that, yes, if you can tap into your own healing ability, using your body for that, and there's so many other things there's just so many things that we could be potentially tapping into that, maybe are more congruent with our bodies and our energy that will bring us forward rather than set us back. Thank you for listening to Miracle in Time. If you would like to explore a theme or know someone perfect for this podcast, please fill out a form on yourlightllc.com/podcast. If you would like to learn more about my services, you can visit the website at yourlightllc.com. I want you to remember that with all life's ups and downs, you are divinely held and guided throughout your journey. Don't miss out on this miracle in time.